This vote is urgent because no one can honestly have confidence in this government. We need to put this government out of its misery. This is not just about the text messages, it's because the government cannot keep people safe. It is urgent because each week 200 people are dying from COVID. For January, that's the highest in the Asia-Pacific region per head of population. They can't keep people safe from the climate crisis because they're deliberately making it worse. They can't keep women safe at work, refusing to back all of the recommendations in the Safe at Work report. We must urgently consider this matter because the government can't keep people safe from rising inequality. Millions of people are in dangerous, insecure work, underpaid, living in unaffordable housing, not having housing at all, struggling to keep their head above water. This is not just about the text messages. The texts just show what we've all known. These guys are in it for themselves. The Prime Minister would sell out anyone to get ahead, and those texts show that those closest to him know that all too well. During the pandemic, he and this rotten government have undermined the states. They've overseen a crisis in aged care. They've given false confidence to people and they've failed to prepare for life after lockdown. We must urgently suspend standing orders. Right now, our elders are stuck inside their rooms and Mr Morrison and Mr Dutton can't agree on how to help. They're fighting for the top job while people drive around trying to find rat tests. And callously, the Health Minister is claiming that those who've died would have died anyway. This chaos is dangerous and the fish rots from the head. How can anyone have confidence in this government? We must consider this urgently because the government can barely pass legislation. It can't establish an integrity commission. Oh, it's too busy to do that one. It's too busy for the Prime Minister to watch Grace Tame and Brittany Higgins speak at the press club tomorrow. This government is hanging on by one vote in the House and it doesn't have the numbers here in the Senate. It can't get real climate action past the National Party. It can't decide whether schools should be allowed to discriminate against LGBTIQ plus kids. It can't even back a wage rise of aged care workers. All of these issues are putting people's lives at risk. This government cannot keep people safe. That is exactly why we need to consider this motion of no confidence urgently. The last 3 summers, people have died because of the failures of this government. People have died in climate-fuelled bushfires while Mr Morrison went on holiday to Hawaii and he waved around coal in Parliament shouting, "Don't be scared." They've died in aged care homes while the responsible minister went to the cricket. In a crisis, in a pandemic, you need clear, honest information from trusted sources. We have been denied that from this government because, as the text messages show, they can't tell the truth. In trying to take all the credit and push off all the blame, the country has lost all confidence. And this Senate chamber must urgently consider this motion because while the country faced incredible anxiety, stress and uncertainty caused by the global pandemic, the government was more concerned about their own re-election. We've seen the Prime Minister try to appeal to anti-vaxxers when it suited him and then lock out sports stars again to try to be popular. But we remember what you've said and what you've done, Prime Minister. The people aren't stupid. The polls show that they're onto you. Women don't like being told that they're lucky not to be shot when they speak up. Aged care residents don't like being told that they were going to die anyway. People who are worried about the climate crisis don't like seeing coal being waved about in Parliament. It's not surprising that someone in the Cabinet reportedly called him, I quote, a psycho. A man who has a trophy that he awarded himself for stopping the boats full of desperate people trying to seek safety in Australia. A man who waves coal in Parliament. A man who stands over people to get what he wants. Only a, quote, horrible, horrible man could be proud to build a political career off the abuse of vulnerable people. The former Premier of New South Wales was right. This is a horrible, horrible man. This government, led by this Prime Minister, cares only about itself. Former Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull knows that. The President of France knows that. Julia Banks knows that. Even Minister Joyce knows that. The Prime Minister is a bully, he's a bigot, he's a liar and he's a fraud. We must urgently consider this vote of no confidence, because the people of this country have lost confidence in him and the government he purports to lead. This government have had a go, they've failed, and now they've got to go.
Authorised by J. McCall, Australian Greens, Canberra.